All right, this is part 2 of oxidative color. I realized when I got done yesterday and I was helping people with their workbook that there was something pretty important that I needed to convey to you, because you're going to see this word many times throughout your cosmetology career. And that word is paraphenylene diamond. Hopefully I've spelled that correctly. Okay, these are paraphenylene diamond and then toluene phenylene diamond are the two things, the two ingredients that are found in permanent hair color. All right, so I like to tell a dumb story to help you remember how to say this and what all the parts of the word are. So para, okay? So we've got two pairs, just like you're playing cards. Okay, so para, you got a pair of hearts, you got a pair of diamonds, we've got a pair of fens. All right, what does that mean? Well, back in the 90s, I think it was, they had a drug and it was fen something something, and they would refer to it as PHEN, fen. Then there was another drug that was fen something something something, and they would refer to it as fen, but it was FEN. And somebody, somewhere, sometime, decided to put these two fens together, giving you a pair of fens, and they were prescribing these to people, and people were experiencing this miraculous weight loss. It was like the newest, greatest thing. So that went on not very long, and all of a sudden they realized that people were starting to get sick from taking fen-phen. That's what they called it, fen-phen. All right, so when you get sick, you're not feeling very good, and you might start going like this, and you might start leaning on things, and you're like, oh, I think I'm going to be sick. I don't know what to do. So they were leaning because they were not feeling very good. Then people started dying from fen-phen. So they leaned, they died, and we're at the funeral. Amen. Okay, kind of morbid, kind of creepy, but it works. I have a pair of fens, fen-phen. They make me get sick, I lean, I die, amen. We're at the funeral, okay? I wanted to make sure to give you that explanation so that when you talk about that word, when you see that word, maybe that story will come to mind and you can remember all the parts of it. All right, now we're going to be getting into lighteners, also known as bleach. I'm trying very, 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 very hard to get this word out of my vocabulary, because as I was coming through cosmetology, we said we bleach hair, we bleach hair. And then it's like, oh no, that's not professional, we lighten hair. So I might slip sometimes, but I try very hard to talk about lighteners and lightening. We're decolorizing, removing, or diffusing pigment. That can be natural pigment, that can be artificial pigment. It uses ammonia and peroxide. Remember, we're mixing the lightener with hydrogen peroxide, and the ammonia is what makes the cuticle lift up so that this can get inside to the cortex to start removing that pigment. All right, it penetrates the cortex, causing melanin or other pigment to break down before being removed. Okay? All right, always involved oxidation of the natural melanin in the hair. Again, we come back to that word, oxidation. Okay, so we're mixing it with developer. Remember the chemical symbol for developer? H2O2. Okay, when we mix it with something, oxygen starts to be released. Okay, that's oxidation. It causes the hair to gradually lighten through several color changes as the pigment disperses. We're going to be talking about that kind of in reverse at the end of this segment. You can just think of it, if you put this color on, it has to go through all these stages. You'll have people that will have very dark hair. They'll put lightener on at home. It gets to orange. They panic. They rinse it off. And they say that the product didn't work. If they would have left it on and let it get through that orange stage, they would have had their desired color. Okay, you apply it to dry hair generally. Okay, so you can see all the pigment molecules in there. The lightener diffuses it, it breaks up the melanin, and then you have blonde hair. You can see you have much less pigment in the hair after you're done. Okay, on the scalp. So, it used to be that if you had a lightener like this, it could only be used for off-the-scalp applications. If you pulled hair through a cap, if you put it in foils, fine, you can use this. And they had oil lighteners and cream lighteners, okay? Oil lighteners give you very, very, very little lift. It's very mild with that oil. The pH is around 9. It has a certain amount of ammonia in it, and you can apply it directly onto the scalp. They came out with cream lighteners, okay? They had conditioners. It's a creamy consistency. Directly on the scalp, pH is around 9. Now, believe it or not, I had to fight pretty hard to find a cream lightener, okay? Because what's happened is the manufacturers have added conditioners and buffers to this, and so if you mix it with the appropriate developer, it's safe to use on the scalp. So they're kind of getting away from that. It's kind of one thing fits all, but you might use 20 volume developer on the scalp. You might use 20 on the ends, but you can use a higher volume developer and it's still safe. But the reason why I looked long and hard for this is because I wanted you to see that the lightener came looking similar to this, and you mixed it with developer. But here's the part that I wanted you to see. You always mixed activators in there with them, which kind of speeded things up, kind of got it going, and helped lift that hair. This is a dry powder. I can hear it in there. And so you follow manufacturer's directions, however many ounces of this, however many packets. It comes with 4, and your developer, and you mix that up, and it's safe for on the scalp. Okay? Off the scalp. Stronger, lightens hair faster, have no added oils or creams, but I'm going to tell you, we can put this on the scalp, so they have added that. Usually used for highlighting, and pH is around 10.3 to 3. Now, the difference between 9 and 10 sounds like, yeah, okay, big whoop, okay? So here's my pH scale. Here's 7, here's 0, here's 14. If you remember, my hair, skin, and nails is 4.5 to 5.5. We can call it 5 just to make our life easier. And it said the gentle ones were 9, and the ones that are stronger are around 10, okay? So this is a logarithmic scale. Logarithm, I'm going to spell that wrong, rhythmic scale. All right, what that means is if I go from a 5 to a 6, it's not just 1 time more alkaline because I'm moving this direction, it's 10 times. Okay, if I move to a 7, it's not 20 times more alkaline, it's 10 times 10. So this is 10 times, this is 100 times. Okay, we've got an 8 in here. 10 times 100 is 1,000. 10 times 1,000 is 10,000. And 10 times 10,000 is 100,000. So when we talk about it being a 9, it's 10,000 times more alkaline. When you go to a 10, which is only one step on the pH scale, it's 100,000 times more alkaline. I'm sure you will agree that there's a big difference between 10,000 and 100,000. Okay, So it's logarithmic. Each step is 10 and you take it times. 10 times 10, 10 times 100, 10 times 1,000, etc. Okay? All right, 10 stages or degrees of decolorization. This is kind of what I was talking about. So you start out with dark hair and you go through these stages, okay? If you go the whole way to white, first of all, you're probably not going to have much hair left. Second of all, it's going to grab weird colors. Everybody right now wants silver, so maybe that's not a bad thing. Up until recently, that was a bad thing when people would grab silver. They did not want that as a desired result. But yeah, you're probably going to have like this much hair and it's going to be broken. So here's what I'm talking about. You put the lightener on, they get to this stage, they panic, they pull it off, they don't give it time to get there. You have to go through all these stages to get to blonde. The darker your hair is, the more stages you have to go to. All right, time for decolorization. People always say, okay, I put the lightener on, Mrs. Gottlieb, how long should I time it for? And I always say, till it's blonde. There is no timing except for the fact that you can only let it on so much time. So I believe, I was watching the video at Paul Mitchell Pro on this, and I think it said I can leave this on for 50 minutes. I'll have to double check that. So almost an hour. If it's not light enough, I can shampoo it off and I can put it back on again. Okay, again, you're worried about the integrity of the hair when you're doing all this stuff. When you get the lightener mixture on your scalp becomes very sensitive. So when you go to rinse, shampoo, etc., you're going to use cold water and very light touch. Your head will be very sensitive for a while. Okay, you definitely don't want to use high volumes of developer because again, you'll get burns and scabs and things. All right, so you process it till it's the right color. Now, you're just a new stylist and you're slow because you're just learning this. So you start doing foils and it takes you 20 minutes to get here and then 40 minutes here and then it's an hour and now it's an hour and 20 minutes and you're all done. Okay, so you got a couple things happening there. First of all, if you can only time this for 50 minutes, you don't want to mix huge quantities of this because by the time you get this and this done, you're starting to lose all your potency. So it's not a bad idea to remix for every section. The other thing that happens is you can't have this on an hour and 20 minutes and just finish this section. Okay? You're going to have a really bad result. So there's different things you can do. Number one, you could start out with your first section. You could use 10 volume developer. It's going to lighten the hair, but slower. Second section, you could mix and put 20 volume. Okay, it's going to go a little bit faster. The third section, you could use 30 volume developer. I don't think I'd put 40 volume, but you see what I'm saying. The other thing is, once you get some of it done, is you start rinsing out the original stuff that's getting to be the right color. You might be rinsing this before you even get this done. Now, I'm pretty sure that we all like money. We want to earn money. We want to spend money on things. So what I'm going to encourage you to do in here in the next few days is practice, practice, practice getting faster. You have to learn to push yourself. You still want accuracy, you want neatness, but the faster you can put this on, the less of that lag time you have in there where this is blonde, 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 and you're just getting it on here, and you'll have more consistent results. And the faster you can do a foil lightener, the more money you're gonna make. Okay, it boils down to that. So it's perfectly fine when you're learning to go more slowly. When you start getting the hang of it though, you gotta push yourself. The fastest person I ever saw, I went with a friend we went to get our hair cut. They took her back first. They were processing me, like, I think I was filling out some paperwork or something. By the time I walked back to get shampooed, her foils were done. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And they were beautiful, they were perfect. Okay, that person's making money. because they kept practicing and practicing and getting their speed up. Same thing with nails. If you can do really good nails, but it takes you 2 hours, or you can do really good nails and it takes you half an hour, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you're gonna make a lot more money, okay? You cannot stay in that slowness forever. You have to push yourself to work faster and faster. All right, so the time is gonna depend on what color your hair is. If you have artificial pigment in it, that makes it not as much fun, and what the texture and porosity is. Okay, toners. Remember, I talked about toners yesterday with the color chart. Toners only add color. They do not lift. So you can't lift up to a level 9. Let me go back a second. You can't lift up to this and expect your toner to do this, okay? You have to get light enough with the lightener, and then you're just going to adjust the tone. So if you're a pale yellow, you might want to be using a pale violet on there to get the color that you want. Toners do not lighten. Toners can come all by themselves, and they say toners on them, or any light color in a color line, like you see right here. Literally anything from a level 8 and up can be used as a toner. Toner isn't anything special. It's just lighter than the, it's just going to add tone to the pre-lightened hair. I don't want to confuse you there. All right. Okay, it can add warmth or coolness. Use your color wheel, and it deposits color and neutralizes unwanted tones. Right? Okay, double process. So an exercise that you've been doing out on the floor is you have been applying lightener for first time application. So when you do a first time application, this is what you need to think of. Here's the person's scalp. Here's their hair strand. Okay. So out to about 1/2 inch from the scalp, they are emitting heat. Okay? That's warm right there. Okay? Warmth is going to make a lightener process more quickly. Down here, whoops, let me try that again. I erased. Down here, your ends are more porous. Cuticle's more wide open, the lightener's going to go in more quickly. So what you have to do is you have to give your lightener a head start. So you apply the lightener to the mid strand. Now when we were doing the mannequins, we were taking it through the ends. You can do that if they're healthy ends. But in a typical client, you're going to apply it through the mid. You give it a head start. It's like the old story of the tortoise and the hare. Okay, the tortoise just kept on chugging along, chugging along, chugging along. The tortoise got there, it took them longer, and then the hare came along and went very fast. These two areas are going to go very quickly. Now, if you look here, you can see that they have pieces of cotton stuck in between each section. That's because if I do this piece and I lay it down and it gets squished against the head, even though I kept it here, on the next piece below it, it's going to get squished into the scalp. And I'm going to have very blotchy hair. So I need to keep it off there. What we did was we got out our foils and we foiled this. There's our foil. Kept it off the scalp initially, which is pretend because obviously mannequins don't have heat on their head. Then we went back and did the scalp. Okay, so it's the same idea as this. You're just using foils instead of keeping it off with the cotton. You got to give the mid shaft a head start. When it's all the correct color, then you add your toner. Okay, and there's your final color result. Okay, so it's 2 steps. First, you lighten the hair to the desired degree, and then you recolorize or tone. No additional lift can be achieved with the toner. Use a low volume developer. All you're trying to do with the toner is deposit color. So if you remember from yesterday, deposit is 10 volume. We're not trying to lift, we're just trying to add color. All right. It says applying lightener to several swatches of dark hair and watching the hair decolorize will give you a better idea of how this all works. And then take this process one step further by recolorizing the hair. We're doing that with our mannequins. We're seeing what's happening. Now, I'm seeing some struggles out there, which I understand. I've been through it myself, you know, learning this as well. Okay, so I cannot stress enough how thin you need to take the pieces of hair that you're working on to do this, okay? So if you look from the side and you take a piece of hair that's that thick and you put the lightener on it, so we'll pretend like we're putting lightener on it, and you put it on the top, chances are it's not going to make its way to the bottom. It's just going to lay on the top because it's a thicker mixture, okay? It's not a liquid, it's a cream, it's a thick mixture. So what happens when you're done is you have blonde and brown, and you have this real streaky look, and you're like, where'd all these brown pieces come from? I put lightener on every single piece. What's going on? But if you think about it, if you take a nice thin piece of hair and then you put the lightener on it, chances are it's going to get the whole way through. So think of it like this. You should be able to read a newspaper through the hair that you take. You should be able to read the words on a page of a book. You should be able to see through it. That's how thin the hair should be. The other thing is I see people putting it on, again, very, very common, I've done it. You put it on and you're wiping so hard that you're putting it on and wiping it right back off again. Okay, as soon as lightener dries out or there's not enough of it, you're done. It's done. It has to stay moist. Okay, so you have to have a more gentle touch and just kind of lay. Like you can push to start with because you want to push it down through, but then you just want to lay a layer of lightener over it. Now we have the one kind of lightener, I can't think what it's called right now in Paul Mitchell. It's a clay base, and I was doing the education on Paul Mitchell Pro, and I was like, this is pretty interesting. The reason why they made a clay base was when you put it on, the top of that forms like it hardens, and it keeps everything below that moist. So it looks like it's drying out, but it's holding all the moisture in when you use that particular one. It's good for doing balayages and things like that where you're doing like freehand painting, okay? If you use that and you encase it in a foil, it will all stay moist. It won't form that film on the top that holds it in, okay? All right, step one, analyze what level and tone the person is to begin with. Check for different colors throughout the hair. Different colors in different areas. Is there gray hair present? And is the existing color natural, artificial, or both? Artificial is more tough. It's more difficult to get out. Look at the texture and porosity of the hair. What's the integrity of the hair? Is it healthy or not? Look at the person's eye color, skin tone. What's their personality? Will they be fine with having orchid hair? Or will that be a total disaster in their life? They're very conservative and work in an office in a suit every day, okay? You identify the level and tone of the desired color. You identify how intense they want it, how many levels darker or lighter to choose proper developer strength. So do I need 20 for two levels lighter, 30 for 3? And whether warmth will need to be neutralized. Again, around here, most people are level 4s and 5s. If they want to go lighter, there is going to be warmth. I asked a couple of the sophomores the other day, I said, think in your mind, how many people, how many adults do you know that live around here that are blonde naturally? You could count them on one hand. There's tons of people with blonde hair, which is good for us hairdressers, but naturally. Now, how many kids do you know that were blonde, that are blonde? Most. Okay, I was never blonde, but most people were blonde. So what happens is they get older, they're like, but I used to be blonde. Again, great for the hairdressing industry. They want to get their hair highlighted. But they've got that level 4 and 5, which has all that red and orange underneath it that you need to combat. All right, choose your products and shades. Always follow manufacturer's guidelines for mixing and processing. After application, set the timer and check periodically. This is something you want to keep after. The longer it takes you to put it on, the more you have to keep after it, and you have to keep taking those foils out. Now, when you use a scale, let me see it right here. You get the scale out, and the first thing you do is you turn it on. Okay, it's on ounces. Okay, it says 0. I'm going to put my bowl on it. I'm going to hit this button again, and now it says 0 ounces. So it's taking into account the weight of the bowl. Now I can use my synchro lift, and it says, this is back in the dispensary, by the way, it says a 1-to-2 ratio. So if I put in 1 ounce of this, then I can put in 2 ounces of this, and I can get it exact with my scale. Okay, again, don't want to mix huge quantities of this. But if your hair's, this long, you may have to mix more than you normally do and then keep remixing, but you do not want this to last through the whole head. You want to keep mixing. I like to keep my developer and my lightener right beside me. As soon as I run out, mix again, go. Mix again, go. I'm not running back to a dispensary to mix. Okay, that takes time. Time is money. I gotta make money. I need it right there, and I need to move, man. So you keep it right there, the developer and the lightener. Okay? All right, your underlying pigment. This is a wonderful chart. Okay, it's showing you all those colors that are underneath these, what you have to fight against, and it's showing you what will neutralize them. So if I am medium dark brown naturally, and I would like to be a light blonde, I got to go through all these stages, and then I need to neutralize it with violet. Okay, here's some scenarios. Level 5, the hair is golden. They want to be a level 6, cool. So you're going from warm to cool, red violet. So the formula is the level 6 red violet with 20 volume developer. Why 20? I think to make the red more intense. Normally that would be a 10 because you're only going 1 level lighter. Okay, level 6 golden. They want to be a level 8 cool neutral. They're going to use a level 8 that has a violet or blue violet base, and they're doing 30 now. Okay, so they're lightening 3, but they're putting the 30 volume in. Okay, so every time they're going a little bit more extreme. That's not the case with tint. They're just using it to get it to lift up high enough. Okay, natural level 4, the ends are faded. Level 7, it's porous. So you're going to do level 4 and 10 volume. The level 4 will deposit on the level 4. The level 4 will deposit on the level 7. You're just trying to add color, not lift. Therefore 10 volume. Okay? Level 7, copper gold around the face. Level 5, 6, warm red. There's your color formula and your developer. So they actually created 2 formulas for this person's hair. One for around the face, one for the rest of the hair. And you can see it's quite different. Okay. All right. True or false? Permanent colors allow you to lift and deposit in one step. Hair colors mixed with hydrogen peroxide can be capable of both lifting natural pigment and depositing artificial pigment in one process are known as what kind of color? As a general rule, a permanent hair color mixed with 20 volume developer will lift the hair how many levels? The two forms of on the scalp lightener are oil and, I showed you this before, oil and this kind. When lightening the hair goes through how many degrees? From black to blonde, how many stages does it go through? Okay, number one, permanent colors do allow you to lift and deposit in one step. Hair colors mixed with hydrogen peroxide are known as permanent colors. Okay, if you use 20 volume developer, it's going to lift 1 to 2 color levels. The two forms of on the scalp lightener are oil and cream. And when lightening the hair goes through degrees of decolorization, 10 degrees of decolorization. All right, thank you very much. If I think of anything else, I will add it on to another video that as we go through the workbook and the tests and I'm creating Kahoots and Quizlets, if I see that there's something that I need to address, I will do an add-on to this. But thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.